Everybody needs to understand that I'm more than simply a hype man for this rap group, just like Geico is more than just a company that can save you money. Geico also has fast and friendly claim service, so they can help you when you need it most. And while I do love being a hype man, I also love reading for children's audiobooks. Like Little Bo Peep, she lost a sheep, and she don't know where to find them. Go!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Within the Chaos with your host, Rodney Shortridge, and co-host, Robin Dalton.
Junior Investigating Paranormal Society, first national paranormal organization created and ran by teens. Investigating for over 6 years, the team gives you a unique perspective on investigating the paranormal. They are now offering courses online or in person on investigating and developing your mediumship skills. For more information, contact John Covey at 540-560-9190 or email them at jips.pa@gmail.com. Participants must be 13 or older with parental consent.
You are now listening to brain-eating music flesh up.
Zombie in the building. Get big and get ate.
Zombie flesh up entertainment, baby.
Welcome to Within the Chaos with your host, Rodney Shortridge, and co-host, Robin Dalton.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. You can listen in by calling 516-387-1922, or you could go to the Vibe Radio Network website at blogtalkradio.com/Vibe Radio Network. For deep within the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you all for listening in to Within the Chaos. My name is Rodney Shortridge. I'll be your host tonight, along with my fiery redhead from the pits of hell, Robin Dalton. Tonight, our special guest is Carter Stevens. Carter is one of the founding fathers of the 1970s American East Coast adult cinema. Okay, it's my honor to welcome our special guest, Carter Stevens. Hello, Carter, and thank you for joining us tonight. How you doing, sir?
Well, I have a terrible case of deja vu.
You know what? I'm having it myself too. It feels like Groundhog's Day here. Oh gosh. Well, once again, can you tell us about yourself, sir?
Okay, why not? I'm a pornographer. That's really all you need to know. However, I'll give you some background.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Originally, I'm a Jersey boy. I'm from New Jersey. Went to school in Rochester, New York. I went to RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology, photographic science. I'm a photochemist. I worked for Eastman Kodak for a while. Worked for a place called Movie Lab, which was one of the largest independent laboratories in the country. But what I really wanted to do was direct. In college, I had taken drama courses as well as scientific, photographic courses. And I, myself and a couple of friends sat down and wrote a script, and we tried to get somebody to back us so that I could produce it, and kept running into Catch-22. Kept saying, what have you done? Nothing. We'll come back when you've done something. Well, how do I get experience to do it? I don't know. Luckily, one day at a party, I met a gentleman who was a distributor, and we hit it off. And he read the script. He came back to me and said, look, it's not a bad script. It's okay. It's not a great script, but it's not a bad script. He says, but you've never made a movie. I'm not crazy enough to give you the money, and I don't know anybody else that is. He says, but I happen to be in the position where right now I'm distributing pornos to a bunch of theaters in the New York area. He says, if you can get the money yourself and make a porno. He says, and deliver to me the final product already made. He says, no matter how bad it is, I'll play it off until it breaks even. He says, now that may take a couple of years, because if it's really bad, it'll be the third picture on a double bill. But at least you'll get your money back. And I said, are you willing to put that in writing? And he said, yes. And I said, you got a deal. And that first film was Collegiates, which wound up becoming rather a big hit. And after that, I made Plickety Split, which became a tremendous hit. So all of a sudden, I was in the porno business.
And I'll tell you what, and I thank you, sir, for your work and leading America in the way it has, because I have enjoyed porno ever since I have been a child.
I enjoyed making it.
I'm sure you did. I mean, it's like a dream come true to actually be able to speak to someone in the industry that you can actually sit back and say, so, what's it like to watch people fuck or film them?
Incredibly boring.
Oh, really?
It's incredibly nice to fuck. It's incredibly boring to have to watch somebody having more fun than you're having. No, seriously, making a porno film is exactly the same as making any other film. Mm-hmm. It's a long technical process. There's a lot of detail work. There's a lot of things you have to worry about. And the fucking is actually one of the least of the factors that you have to worry about. Mm-hmm. There's so many other technical problems in making a movie, and people are built to fuck.
Right.
So all you have to do is find a couple of people who don't mind being watched while it happens, and you got yourself a movie.
Hell yeah.
All right, well, when you're making these movies, okay, I got it. Is there like special makeup that y'all use on actors in the films to make them look so beautiful and perfect? I mean, do y'all do makeup like regular? I mean, I know they're movies, but you know what I mean.
She's having a hard time getting that out.
Yeah, yes, we do have a makeup artist on better productions. There are a lot of pornos that are made, in somebody's basement. No, there is no makeup. And then, you can usually tell by the pimples on the girl's ass.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do they like cover the, use makeup on the,
We sure try.
Wow.
Yeah, the makeup guy and or a girl, and she does touch up. If that's the right word.
Touch up. Here, let's put a little bit right there, a little dab of you.
Yeah, you got a little bit of rash going on. So, okay, and another thing, because I'm like, these are all the questions I wanted to know here. So, so do any of them have to use like medications or anything to stay erect or lubricated for so long?
Lubricated, yes. Medicated, no. Not in the old days. You got to understand, in the old days, we didn't hire anybody that couldn't get it up. And part of the scene, if you watch an old porno film, you will see something that you won't see in new porno films. That is pre-play, a foreplay. You'll actually see people making out and getting into the mood before they fuck.
Uh-huh.
Right. And the new porno films, they open, the guy's got a hard on, and they start plugging away like a piston engine. And in fact, watching a new porno film is like watching a reciprocating piston engine. There's no romance, there's no drama. It's just cut and dry. It's like the old stag films we used to make. No plot, no dialogue, just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Well, I got a question, and I was I don't even have this on here because I was telling Robin, I said, I have to kind of get a feel for you to make sure I could ask the question, because some people, they're really more just straight to the point and all that. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Everybody has their own way of being interviewed, but how hard is it to get cum off a camera lens?
So you try never to get cum.
I've always wondered that.
Camera lenses are very expensive.
I know they are. That's the reason why I've always wondered. Every time you see it and it starts, I'm like, I know as close up as they were, somebody got shot on once before, and I just wanted to know.
Well, it happens. It happens. But that's what they make handy wipes for.
Okay. I mean, I've always wanted to know if did it ever happen to you?
Not that I remember, but I'm sure it did. Actually, what happened to me was a lot more embarrassing.
Okay.
There was a lady named Annie Sprinkle, very famous porn actress. I'm not going to tell you why she was known as Annie Sprinkle, but I'm sure you could guess.
Yeah, I had a good idea. Yeah.
And the scene was she was up standing at the head of the bed, up with their back against the wall, and the guy was lying on the bed, and I was at the foot of the bed. I was the cameraman, and I started off the close-up. I think I can say pussy.
Yeah, you can say anything you want. You can say it.
I'd rather have it, but anyway.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
But anyway, I'm on a close-up of her, and she starts to perform her specialty, and I start to zoom out. And as I'm zooming out wider and wider, I see more and more of the guy. She is peeing further and further down the bed, and I'm zooming out more and more, and she's going further and further until I'm wide as I can get, and she hits me.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow. So this lady could really perform, which is why she got so famous and why she got her name.
Wow, that's talent. That is bravo. Well, next question: Did any of behind the scenes cameramen, audio persons, etc., did they become aroused any of the sex scenes while they were filming? I mean, when they're sitting there like
no, you got too many things you got to take care of. They're getting paid. All they care about is they're getting paid for their work.
Uh-huh.
And you're doing, the sound man's too busy listening to the sound, checking the levels, making sure we're recording sound. Cameraman's looking for focus and lights and everybody, let's put it this way. If it's their first time on a porno film, they probably find it very erotic for all of 10 minutes. After that, they're back to doing what they were doing before.
They're like, damn, this is work. Okay, what were the struggles you had to endure in the era of starting in the adult film industry?
I'm sorry, say that one again?
What struggles did you have, starting out? I know you were talking about earlier, was it just getting the money to start up or
no,
getting
actually
the actors?
What happened was after we made that first film, Collegiate, I screened it for the distributor. And he said, look, it's a good film. He says, but I'm in a situation now where I made a lot of money off of Deep Throat. He says, I'll pay you with the money I agreed to, but I'm just going to take your film and put it on the shelf, and nobody will ever see it. He says, because I'm going into Chopsaki movies, martial arts films.
Right.
He says, but what I'll do is I'll give you a list of distributors, and you can screen it for them. And if nobody else will make a deal with you, then I'll live up to it. And so I screened it for 2 other distributors and made a deal with one of them. And he turned around and got arrested for owning a theater. And his wife said, you get out of the business or I'm leaving you. So he turned around and gave me the picture back. So here I am gone to 2 distributors, and the picture still hasn't seen the light day. So finally, I screened it for a third distributor who was out in Detroit, and he liked it, and we made a deal, and he became my distributor, and the film finally became popular.
Wow.
So the film, it was not easy getting off the ground, but I'm not sure if you were referring to that or the 2 arrests I went through.
Oh, you know, whatever you want to discuss. I mean, that or the troubles, because I know back in those days it was. Didn't they arrest you all a lot for doing the porno
Porno
thing?
was illegal, absolutely. No ifs, ands, or maybe. I was. They busted the theater out in Queens on my second film, Lickety Split. They busted the theater 3 days before the New York election. They were looking just for publicity. But they got my name and they came after me, and I was charged with quote wholesale promotion of obscenity / manufacture, which was a felony. Eventually, the charges were dropped. That allowed us to substitute the corporation for an individual. So my corporation was found guilty of making a dirty movie, but all charges were dropped against me. And my corporation paid a fine, and that was the end of that. But I mean, nowadays, there hasn't been an arrest for pornography in at least 5 years, probably more. It's now accepted, and it's a multi-million-dollar business. When we were doing it, we were outlaws, and we were making what was considered good money in those days. I mean, you paid an actor $125 a day. That was an average weekly salary for most people. Wow. So they could make it in a day. The problem with being an outlaw is the retirement package sucks.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know any rich former porno people. You know, most of them are on the balls of their ass and begging for money.
Damn.
Myself, practically in that category. Also, the internet killed my business because you can't sell what everybody's giving away for free.
I don't understand how they're making money if they're giving it away for free.
That's the problem. Most people are not making money.
Wow.
All right. Okay. So I want to know, do you remember your first sexual encounter?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Wait a minute. My first one on film or in private?
Well, your first one ever. I mean, because I'm sure you've been.
Oh, my
I'm sure you fuck a lot. That's what I'm getting at. I know you have had to fuck a lot.
I didn't have to. I did it voluntarily.
Well, when you were on film, you did. I mean, and I was just curious if it affected your personal love life when you were doing that.
Well, I enjoy sex. I fucked. I started off very young. I worked. Not only did I produce and direct and edit film, I was also an actor in porn films. So I've done a lot of films where I fucked on film. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm an exhibitionist. I enjoy being watched. So that actually added to the pleasure of knowing that people were actually watching, and half of them were whacking off, watching me get it on.
Hell yeah. I just love your enthusiasm about it because I feel the same way.
Sorry,
so like none of your girlfriends or wives or nothing ever got pissed?
Say again?
So you never had like a pissed off girlfriend or anything that was pissed that you're off, fucking all these women on film?
No, you got to understand, we're talking about the 70s. We were a unique generation. We were the generation after the invention of the birth control pill and before the start of AIDS. We were the only generation in history that fucked bareback and didn't worry about it.
Wow. Right.
You know, sex was sport fucking. I mean, it was a hobby. We had clubs. I mean, we had swing clubs we went to, and where we exchanged partners, where there was a mat room full of people just fucking who never even got their names. Obviously, I wouldn't get involved with a girl who would be jealous of me fucking another girl.
Right.
9 times out of 10, they would join in. There was a period in my life where I lived with 5 women. 3 of whom I was having sex with.
Lord, I think you just became Rod's hero.
You are my hero. I am not worthy. I am not worthy.
I'm now 71 years old and single, so, I mean, this too shall pass.
So,
however, any girl out there that wants to can reach me on AOL.
Say, I'm 71 and I still can hit and get it, baby. Mm-hmm.
Oh no, what's the old saying? I'm not good as I once was, but I'm still good once.
That's it.
That's a lie. I'm not. I was pretty damn good.
If not, they can go back and actually review it.
I was a great fuck. Now I'm just an old fuck.
I feel you there. Oh, Lord, I feel you there. So, what was your inspiration or your vision for your films that you produced?
Well, basically, they were an opportunity for me to learn. It was earn while you learn time. Every film I did something in the film that I had never done before, technically. I mean, it sometimes it was a little something. For instance, and when I did Pleasure Palace, it was the first film that I could afford to rent a real dolly and use the dolly for a dolly shot. Up until then, we had used a wheelchair with a board on it as a makeshift dolly. But for Pleasure Palace, we actually rented a dolly in tracks and spent, half a day doing a dolly shot, which was totally unnecessary, but it was something I wanted to do so that I could learn to use a dolly shot. Every film I did something that would expand my knowledge of filmmaking, and yet still give the customer his money's worth.
All the stars, all the films that you starred in, which one was your absolute favorite one that you did?
That's like saying, which of your children do you like the most?
Well, I have that. I mean, I can do that. I can do that.
There were a bunch of them. I mean, there was a film called Candy Girl. When I worked, you got to understand, the films I really loved are the ones that I'm not in. They're the ones that I made. When I made them, I would occasionally do a little Hitchcock, a short little, scene of me in the background. But no, I wouldn't have sex in the film. The films that I had sex in, I was just hired as an actor. So I enjoyed doing them, but I wasn't as invested in them as I was in the films I made. Those are my babies. Those are the films I love. I made sure that they all had a plot and that they were real films. Besides having sex in them, the sex could be that, and people could enjoy them just as a film.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, making, as an actor, well, hell, I did Candy Girl with, I did a scene with Serena. I mean, God, one of the most beautiful women in porn. Sexiest overbite you ever saw in your life. I mean, and I got to do a scene with her. I mean, and I got paid. I mean, who could ask for more?
No kidding.
kidding.
Wow.
So what was your favorite locations to film at?
In between a girl's legs.
I knew it. I knew that's what you was going to say. I just knew it.
That's great. So you didn't prefer, you didn't have no preference whether it was inside, outside, in a basement, or in a hotel?
No, actually, after about my third or fourth picture, I moved into a loft in Manhattan that we turned into a studio. And I did all my shooting in the studio, and I rented my studio out to other porno people, and they would rent it and they would shoot in there. So we were shooting just like a real movie in a sound stage. But occasionally, I mean, I shot Pleasure Palace in an actual whorehouse in Connecticut. The guy closed it down for us for the week. He closed anyway for the weekends, but he allowed us to shoot all weekend long and use the whorehouse for a location. And in fact, he's actually in the film, not as an act, just as an extra.
Well, so how does your family feel about your career choice?
Well, after I got the offer from the distributor, I went to town and I went to about 6 porno theaters, and I saw every porno I could find, and I said, I looked at them. I must have looked at 8 or 10 pornos in 2-3 days, and I said, oh shit, I can do that. So I went and I discussed it with my parents. I was very close to my parents, and basically my mother said, will it ruin your career? And I said, what career? I can't get hired. She said, well, in that case, after you make your first $1 million, you change your name. And I said, I'll do you one better. I'll change my name now. Instead, which is what I did. Carter is my first wife's middle name, and Stephen is my middle name. That's where I got Carter Stevens. But after 40 years, I answered to Carter Stevens faster than I answered to my given name.
Well, who were your favorite stars that you worked with?
Oh, God. So many of them. Georgina Spelvin, the Devil and Miss Jones girl. She was an old friend of mine from before either of us were born. Hell of an actress. Sharon Mitchell was my discovery. I discovered Sharon. Very talented lady who unfortunately developed a drug problem, which sidelined her from a legit career. Marlene Willoughby, lovely lady, tall and thin. She and I must have made half a dozen films as actor and actress, which I could never understand. Every time we show up on a set, if the two of us were there, we'd know that we would wind up working together. It was like we felt like we were married.
Wow.
You know, and the joke is, I'm a pretty stocky guy, and she was nail thin. To me, it was like watching Laurel and Hardy fuck. I mean, I could never understand why they kept pairing us up together, but they did. Annie Sprinkle. Annie is still a good friend of mine. Long Jean Silver, who was a below-the-knee amputee. Lived with me for a while. You got to understand, in those days, we were all friends. It was a very small community. It wasn't like it is today where it's millions of dollars, and they don't crank them out, thousands of films a year. In my entire career as Carter Stevens, I did a dozen films. It would take me 2 months of pre-production, a couple of weeks to shoot, a couple of months of post-production to turn out a film. So if I did 3 films a year, I was really cranking it. But plus, I was doing other films for other people. I was cameraman for other people. I was production manager for other people. So I was working constantly. But we were all friends. We all partied together. We all hung out in the same bar. It was a very small community.
Things have changed a lot.
Since it was such a small community and all, did you ever have any sexual relationships with any of the actors off set?
Oh, hell yes. But the funny thing is, not as much as you would imagine. For instance, I just said Marlene and I must have made half a dozen films together, but we never had a sexual relationship off set. We were friends, but we didn't have a sexual relationship. Sharon Mitchell and I did have a sexual relationship off set, which lasted about 6 months. The funny thing is, she was one of the only girls who my girlfriend was jealous of.
Wow.
But yeah, there were a lot of off-screen relationships, and one-nighters, and parties. I mean, it's the 70s. It's the old saying, if you remember the 70s, you weren't there.
Well, I was a kid, so I was there, but I'm not in that way.
I was only there for a couple of years.
I was born in a great year, 69. Hell yeah. Well, I know you've had some personal battles with, drugs and your heart attack and the charges of obscenity. How was it that you was able to overcome all these difficulties especially in it being in the 70s?
It became the 80s. We grew out of it. We found out that cocaine wasn't harmless. AIDS came in and scared the crap out of everybody. So all of a sudden we started wrapping our dicks in aluminum foil to keep them being exposed. No, seriously. You go through stages. I was a cocaine addict. Like everybody else, I started off doing it socially, wound up getting hooked. And cocaine is a strange drug because you never know when you're hooked. You deny it, I did a documentary on cocaine, and one of the doctors who I interviewed for the documentary put it really well. He said, cocaine is the only drug that your body doesn't tell you you're in trouble. Your wife tells you you're in trouble because she's leaving you. Or your bank tells you you're in trouble because you're broke.
Yeah.
But your body never warns you when you cross that line.
Damn.
But I met my second wife, Baby Doe, and we moved out of New York and got away from the drug scene, cleaned our act up, had a baby, and my life changed. You can't party forever. You can try, but you're going to be dead before you can get very far. I'm still alive, so I guess I cleaned up all right. Actually, the old joke is I used to do drugs, now I do medication. I used to get high, now I just hope for a drug interaction.
I used to do illegal, now I do legal.
Yeah.
Well, did you have a preference of whether, or was it easier to work with women or men in your films? I mean, I know sometimes women can be, cunts. I mean, were they
so can men. So can men. No, once again, if somebody was that much of a troublemaker, they didn't get hired. We were a small community. We all talked. And if, enough people said, hey, what's her name's a bitch to work with, well, then you didn't hire her.
Plain and simple then, huh? Don't have to worry about all the little...
And
what they need to go back to, Dan?
I'm sorry, say again?
That's what they need to go back to.
the problem is they're turning out so much crap so fast that they're burning through people. The average life, the working life of a porno actor or actress these days is months, not years, but months. They're in and out of the business faster than you can learn their name, faster than they can learn their name.
Exactly. I mean, I honestly, I mean, I have no references to, the porn actors nowadays. I really don't. I mean, not like you did back, when I first started, watching them and hearing about them. So
right. Oh, we were making still films. We were making still films, and just like in the real film business, you had stars and you had regular character actors. There are some porno people whose names nobody ever learned. There's some people. Hell, when I was acting, I acted under a dozen different names. I never used Carter Stevens as an actor because I kept Carter Stevens strictly for the films that I made.
Right.
So I worked under names like Peter Sudanoff and Studs Longer. I mean, crazy names.
Wow.
And there were a lot of. There was one girl I know who was working her way through law school. She would never take more than a half a day's work on a film, and she would change her name for every single film because she knew that once she got her law degree, she was going to become a lawyer and didn't want it to come back and haunt her. The funny thing about that girl, she got her law degree, she took the bar exam, passed it, got a job as a lawyer, hated it, and went back into the porno business.
Damn.
Married a very famous porno director.
Wow. So, have you ever done work with like the different sex orientations? I mean, did they do a lot of that back then, like they do nowadays?
I'm not following what you're asking me. You mean, did I ever work on a gay film?
Porn and lesbian porn and stuff like that.
Did they ever do what?
A lot of gay porn back in the 70s and 80s.
Oh, hell yes. I edited a film called Centurions of Rome, which was the most expensive gay porn ever made and up until that day. We shot gay porn same as we shot regular porn. And almost every regular porno had at least one lesbian scene. I don't know if it was because it was so popular or because the girls could fake it and we could shoot it much faster. So it was cheaper.
Damn. So I think you touched on this earlier, but when you're first introduced to, I guess, someone that you didn't know that you're about to fuck for the first time, did you ever get nervous about it, or did you just like get excited and be like, oh, I know it was a job, but I mean, come on, you got to have a little bit of an attraction sometimes, right? Or no?
Well, sometimes, yes. Usually, it was a case of you'd be introduced to somebody and you talk and you try and find something about them that turned you on. But sometimes you would meet somebody that you were going to work with and there was just no spark. Mm-hmm. Then you'd have to dig into your masturbatory fantasies and come up with your own hard-on and work on your own to try and perform. And sometimes there would be an instant dislike and let me see, how can I put this? You'd throw them a spite fuck. You'd screw them till they came just to prove that you could.
We call that back down here in the country is we take them behind the barn and give them a bull fucking.
Okay.
That's what
sounds like a lot of bull.
So how would y'all advertise, for actors for your movies or?
I had an ad that ran in the Village Voice, which was a New York paper. I ran every week for years. That's how I found a lot of new people. Very Naughty, another one that I discovered, who could tie her pussy lips in a knot.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's talent.
Yeah, right. I mean, she became a big name because of a special talent. I discovered her because she answered an ad in the paper. I even ran an ad in the Columbia Spectator, which was Columbia University's student newspaper. So, I mean, we advertised everywhere we could, looking for people.
Well, did you have auditions? I mean, how did you do that?
Usually there were two types of movies we were making. We were doing feature films, which had plots and which were dialogue and long films. And then we also had what were called loops, which were the 8mm stag films that were silent. They were 6-7 minutes long. They had a joke of a plot. The plumber comes to clear your pipes, and 30 seconds later they're fucking. And what we would do is, if we had somebody, we would interview them and make sure they realized what they were getting into and try and talk them out of it. And then if they still wanted to do it, we would put them in a loop and see if they could perform. If they could perform, they'd get paid, and we'd probably move them on to use them in other things. If they couldn't perform, well, thank you very much. You don't get paid. We can't use the film. We can't use you. Or by the same token, they can come in and they do a loop, and they find out they don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
They find out that it's not the fun orgy time that they thought it was going to be, that it actually was work. And they say, well, thanks a lot, but it's not worth the $50 for an hour,
That kind of goes into my next question about, I know today they have different types of pay rates for the different types of porno they do, with a gay or bondage or regular sex. Was it like that then?
In the old days, it was a flat rate.
Mm-hmm.
It was $125 a day for an actor or an actress. Loops were $50 for about an hour's work. The only thing extra was maybe $25 extra for a girl if she did anal. But even that was not necessary all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was just sometimes where you wanted it, and it was a little extra inducement to get her to bend over.
Well, I know you talked earlier about, you mentioned a little bit about when AIDS struck, and it, was really, really scary time, especially in that profession. Was sexual transmitted diseases and pregnancies a concern in the 70s? And if so, what did y'all do about them?
Pregnancies, no, because it was after the invention of the pill.
Okay.
That's why I say we were a special generation. The pill was in the late 60s, early 70s. It took away the stigma of the worry of pregnancy. As for sexually transmitted diseases, the worst really that was around was crabs. And it was a disgusting disease, but it wasn't fatal. The difference between the old joke is the difference between herpes and AIDS is AIDS kills you dead.
Wow.
So suddenly it became a matter of, if you picked up a sexually transmitted disease, it could kill you. Whereas before it was just get a shot in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
And have it cured. In all my years in the business and all the women I fucked bareback, I I came down with gonorrhea once, and that was from a girl who wasn't in the business.
Oh, wow.
And of course, I had to go through the whole penicillin shots and get rid of it. But that was the only time I ever had a sexually transmitted disease. But I picked it up from a girl who wasn't in the business. The reason you didn't get that much in the business is we were professionals. We took care of our tools.
Yeah.
You know?
You gotta have clean tools to work.
Right, exactly.
Well, what do you think or feel that your work is contributing to today's adult film market?
Today's film?
Yeah, because I'm sure that you all built the foundation of what it is today, so some of that has to bleed over.
We were the forefathers. Unfortunately, it was the difference between muskets and assault weapons. We turned out hundreds of films a year. They turn out thousands. So our stuff stands out. I mean, you can buy my films today. That, as a matter of fact, on Memorial Day weekend, there was the Underground Film Festival in Harrisburg, PA. Brought me down there, and they showed a copy of Punk Rock, my film Punk Rock, and they had me introduce it. And I'm telling you, there is no better high, no better natural high than having an audience applaud a film you did 30 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
You know?
Okay, so
in fact, it's time for a plug. Now that I think of it, before we get any further.
Oh, go ahead.
Anybody who's interested in seeing any of my films can go to alternativevideo.com. That's alternativevideo.com, and go to their video store and search out Carter Stevens, and they have a great collection of my films that have been reissued and cleaned up, and for 30-year-old films, they look pretty damn good. And you can get them at a very reasonable price for a DVD.
That's awesome.
And help pay my mortgage, so I would provide it.
I might have to go by and check it out. I might be able to help you with your mortgage.
So here's what I want to know: how does it make you feel?
And matter of fact, let me just add one more thing. That anybody that buys a film from Alternative Video, if they write me a note, my email is CarterS, that's CarTers as in Stevens, all one word, CarterS @AOL.com. They can contact me, and we'll make arrangements. They can mail me the cover, and I will autograph it for them at no charge.
Awesome.
Awesome. Did you get that, Rod?
Yeah, I got it. You daggone right, I got it. I got it recorded too, so I can go back.
Well, what I was kind of, wondering was, like you said, back then, y'all would turn out 100, in a year or so. But now, I mean, they were like everywhere. You get all these free porn sites, and you got all this free porn now through the internet. I mean, what kind of difference do you think that has made in the industry as far as like actors, to get paid and directors to get paid and stuff like that?
They don't get paid as well. Nobody's a star. They have a very short shelf life. It's legal. When it's legal, it's not as appealing. So you don't make the kind of money. I can't say we made great money back then, but we made good money compared to what the average worker made. In other words, we got $50 an hour to do a loop. Nowadays, they probably get paid about the same.
Wow.
So I mean,
Wow.
it's not an enticement.
Does it make you kind of sad how they do things nowadays?
Makes me very sad. We were making real movies. Today, they've gone backwards. They're making stuff the way their films are like our stag films. Hi, I'm the plumber. You want to fuck?
Yeah, that's true. Robin, you got the next one?
Well,
Get your finger out of your mouth and ask him.
speak out. Yeah, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I hear you.
Can you still hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
You can hear us. We can hear you.
Okay.
Get your finger out of your ear then.
I can now. Can you hear me now? So, what is your all-time favorite adult film that has ever been made? Can you pinpoint one?
Hold on. I'm trying to figure out which one I need to sell the most.
I knew
All my films, of course.
I knew he was going to say that. I just had that gut feeling you were going to say that. I tell you what, you are a blast to have on. Sir, I have nothing but respect for you and
Thank you.
And everything that you have accomplished. I mean, especially in that time period. But I do have one more question before we wrap it up. In your opinion, which is the most popular category in the adult film industry? Bondage or the gay or straight, or because I know there's so many categories, but which one do you think is the most popular one in your opinion?
Straight sex. It's the same as bondage is about 10% of the market because about 10% of the people in the country are into bondage.
Mm-hmm.
So you have about the same amount will buy porn films. Gays, whatever the percentage of gays is, that's how many gay films you sell. Most people fuck straight. So you get straight fucking is the biggest selling area of the porn films.
Wow. I've always wondered if it went by the percentage of what people like, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I really figured it was going to be lesbian porn.
I don't know. Robin, you got any more questions to ask him?
No, I think I've covered everything my inquiring mind was wondering.
Well, Mr. Stevens, is there anything else you'd like to add? I mean, you can go ahead and plug anything you want to plug again. You're more than welcome to do that. And anything you want to close out with, floor is yours.
Close out with alternativevideo.com.
Okay.
Just to make sure, if you missed it last time, that's alternativevideo.com. And go to their video store and search Carter Stevens, and you'll see a whole bunch of films, a whole bunch of DVDs. And in fact, my latest release is called Carter Stevens Dirty Home Movies, which are a collection of loops, some of which I star in. So you can actually watch me fuck on screen if you're really a masochist.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Well, sir, I do appreciate you coming on the show. Our time is up. I want to thank you so much. And like I said, nothing but respect for you and the job you've done and that you're continuing doing. And like I said, you're welcome back anytime. And hopefully we will have it to where we can actually have you on Skype on the show and not have to do a pre-recorded show.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being so patient with us.
Yes, thank you so much. I apologize again for screwing up the beginning. Oh my God. Like I said, I've had a bad week. It's just things have not been well. But you bring some sunshine and some light and laughter to it, and it made me. Hey, it was well worth it to get you on the show.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Well, sir, you have a good night, and I do appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Okay, that's it for us tonight. I want to thank Carter Stevens for coming on the show. Excuse me, and to thank everyone that took the time to listen and take part in our show. I'd like to give a big shout out to the Vibe Radio Network. Also to the first responders, our men and women in the armed services, thank you for your service.
Night, y'all.
Robin and I will not be on the show next week. We're taking a vacation. And our guest for August 4th is Christine Coachella. So you all have a good week, good weekend, and don't drink too much. And according to Mr. Stevens, go ahead and tear that ass up. Y'all have a good night.
Yo, everybody get up! Everybody get up! Everybody needs to understand that I'm more than simply a hype man for this rap group, just like Geico is more than just a company that can save you money. Geico also has fast and friendly claim service, so they can help you when you need it most. And while I do love being a hype man, I also love reading for children's audiobooks. Like Little Bo Peep, she lost a sheep, and she don't know where to find them. Yo!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.